with a filmmaker, I am here to ask you a question. How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues?
The conventions of a spy/Cold War/political thriller movie are political power struggles that are either fictional but believable with real modern countries or not. Novikov follows a real political era in a real country, which goes along with the great genre conventions. Political thrillers sometimes revolve around legal plots, and while the end there is a trial of Vetrov, but it is not part of the opening and it's also not part of the plot's main focus. There is a political enemy, the communist state. Political thrillers can often involve national or international issues, and this feature film involves both in the US and USSR, so it is international with international issues. Some other common themes in the genre are terrorism and warfare, but Novikov would never resort to violence. So while the main character does not incite terrorism nor warfare, the US, for which he spies, is more violent and more likely to commit these acts. But since it was the Cold War, there was no overt official warfare, but people were certainly killed in the era. Some political thrillers are based on true events, dates, fashion, or people. My feature film has many true events and people such as Ronald Reagan, Vladimir Vetrov, and Ludmila and her stabbing. Sometimes the genre overlaps with conspiracy thriller, but this is not one of those. The feature film is also part of the spy thriller genre. Often government agents are put out in the field and might have to take violent actions for a country. While Novikov is not employed officially by any country, he does have to spy for the US, and Vetrov is officially a KGB agent who is employed by the US, so he does fit this convention. Novikov also does not have to do any violence, although Vetrov does. The spy is usually the hero in this genre, which goes along with my movie, as both Novikov and Vetrov are the heroes. Many spy movies have a love story. While Novikov is asexual and has no romantic interests, Vetrov has a girlfriend and there's some drama in that relationship. These movies are often suspenseful, as there is a constant worry that the spy is going to be found out, or the subject has a problem with counter-espionage. My opening scene represents youth, especially in the main character, Novikov. The conventional youth is rebellious on their phones or technology, ignorant about the world around them, idealistic, dependent, dangerous, non-committal, carefree, willing to try new things. Novikov breaks this stereotype by being independent, very knowledgeable about the world around him, and being very committed to his purpose. The influences of communist propaganda and messages in school have not touched Novikov, like it has for his peers. This shows that he does not suffer from peer pressure like most youth would. He does, however, follow the youth stereotype in that he is rebellious and idealistic, looking to his writer idol, Solzhenitsyn, to motivate his push for freedom. It also represents the asexual community, as Novikov himself is asexual. This group is typically characterized as not understanding romance or sexual relationships, or not being able to navigate sensual situations per social norms. An example of this is the BBC version of Sherlock Holmes. His best friend John Watson is heterosexual, but because Sherlock himself is asexual, he often finds navigating John's romantic relationships awkward and superfluous. Novikov also finds romantic relationships useless and incomprehensible. His cause against communism is much more important to him than any romantic relationship. This becomes evident later in the movie when Novikov follows Vetrov and sneaks into a KGB party. There are scantily clad women and that seem to distract Vetrov, but Novikov is asexual, so he does not see any of this. The media piece also represents political issues, as it depicts communism and censoring totalitarian government. The guard in the piece wears a Soviet secret police hat pin on his Ushanka to denote his employment to the Kremlin. He blindly follows orders, watching indifferently from the library, as it is a government institution. He lets citizens in, but must watch for any communist or anti-communist activities like speech and different books that you can read. When Novikov pulls out an anti-communist book, he looks suspicious and he has to be careful with the censored material. The guard notices this and chases him, calling for reinforcements when Novikov, an energetic youth, parallel with his age group's stereotype, outruns him. These are the reasons and these are the ways that Novikov, my opening piece, follows conventions and represents different social groups and issues.